Hey, good morning, everyone. It's Nafissa here. I am so sorry that we are so late with the morning meeting today. Um, I'll tell you why in a second, but before I do, I'll just tell you who I am. For those who don't know me, I'm Nafissa Shireen, the host of Living Forward TV and the founder of Living Forward Business and Lifestyles. And what we do here is help entrepreneurs make really big leaps in their income so they can have true success and freedom all around their personal freedom. And I come to you every Tuesday and Thursday morning at 8 a.m. with the morning meeting to give you some real time inspiration, hacks, kicks in the butts. We pick topics every month on what we're going to speak about. But the last week, you'll notice we missed the morning meeting for my regular folks, and I wanted to fess up first of all, and it's the same reason I'm a little bit late today, so you kind of know what's going on. Because I am certainly not perfect. I try to set a really good example in everything I do in my business, but I am not perfect. I'm human just like everyone else. I talked about this on my personal page last week, just about where we stop ourselves in commitments, and I actually had to do a lot more with a personal thing that I was going through, but I had mentioned that sometimes we stop ourselves for all kinds of reasons, and when we look at why we stop ourselves, if we get to the core of what's stopping us, we'll find that's what stops us in other areas. And so for me, it had to do with fitness and exercise, and I said like I was stopping because it was easier not to, like it was just easier not to do what I knew I needed to do. And so the same thing happened with the morning meetings, because we did a VIP retreat with one of my private clients 2 weeks ago. And so when we do that and we have a client come out for a 2-day retreat, the afternoon on the second day is all filming because they get to become a guest on Living Forward TV. And so to do that, we have to take down our whole camera setup. I don't use my video cam to do Facebook Live. We have a proper camera and lighting setup and microphone, which you'll probably notice I don't have a microphone on right now. And so we took that down to do the VIP day. And then the next week we were filming Living Forward TV, which we do in our studio, not here in my office. So I remember I was like, oh, you know what? If we're going to have to set the whole camera thing up, we tore it all down, then we would have to set it all back up, and then we have to tear it all down again and set it up again. And so, you know what? I didn't do it because it was easier not to, which is really, really, really bad. And that's what I fessed up to on my personal page. If you hop on over to that, I mean, I rarely go live on my page, and it's a public post. You can just scroll down and find it. I get pretty raw in there. It's quite a personal video. And so today it was kind of like the same thing and the same thing coming up because we set everything up, and my husband is not here this morning. He's at a meeting, and everything's set up except for the fact that there's no microphone. And I couldn't find the microphone, and I was going to go, oh, forget this. I'll come back Thursday and do it properly. But then I thought, no, that is just still doing what I said last week about it being easier not to do something. So I just looked and looked and looked, and when I couldn't find any more, I plugged in my headset and thought I'd come live. And so that's my true confession this morning. And anyways, what we're going to talk about today is that piece about where we stop ourselves because, like I said, I'm not perfect. It's come up for me a couple of times. Even this morning, I could have made the choice to not show up, but I still showed up because that's my commitment, and we're back to being regular. And we won't miss another week like we did last week. If you watch my personal post on my page, I explain it in more detail, and it's the whole thing of it, making that decision to stick to the commitment and not to stop myself. Because when we get busy, right, in our businesses, it can be so easy sometimes to make choices that don't serve us, or choices that, in the short term seem to make a lot of sense because they're easier, but really aren't in the interest of the long-term value of our business or our commitments or to ourselves. So we're here. So today I am talking about this whole point about stopping yourself. And it's a really important one. I've seen this come up time and time again. And, when I'm working with my clients, it's something we're always working on and talking about. But it can be really easy to have a reason to stop ourselves. And that reason, for me in this case, it was because it was easier not to. And that was a theme for a couple of things where I noticed I might have been stopping myself personally or professionally or in relationships. Like it's how you do one thing's how you do everything. But the reason we will stop ourselves is in anything is the reason we will stop ourselves somewhere else. And so I want to encourage you to think about, where are you stopping yourself? Where are you I mean, it doesn't have to be like huge things, and it's not a self-judgment or anything like that, right? It's just really reflecting, like, okay, where do I go? Like, where do I go? And up till what point? And then when do I say enough? And what's really important is to ask why you say enough, right? Like, why do I stop myself? Is it because I don't have the money, or because I'm worried what people will think? Or, like in my case, it was easier not to do it, or I'm tired, or I don't have the energy, or it doesn't feel good. Like, whatever that is will represent a core belief and it will show up somewhere else. And what I would encourage you to do is a lot of times you'll see it showing up, and we all know, right? Like, we all know the one part of our life that we're really not paying attention to. Like, for me, it was diet and exercise. It shows up there really obviously, but it will definitely show up in other places, maybe more subtle. But even though it might be showing up more subtle because you're kind of happy with the results, I mean, you're not thrilled with them, but you're not unhappy with them. And so we get to a point where we stop ourselves because it's good enough, or, we're comfortable, or, yeah, like we're good enough or we're comfortable, and we think, well, I could push it that little bit further, but this is good enough. And what we really know, it's not good enough, right? Because good enough never is. And so then we have this barrier where we say, okay, I'm stopping. But what would happen if we were to examine the cause of that and then pull that out and push forward, regardless of what it is, whether it's the money, whether it's your energy, whether it's a belief in yourself, whether it's worried about people think. Because when we pull that out and we don't stop ourselves, that's when we can get through other, like, jump through to other hurdles and to other things and really do incredible things. I sent a letter out to my email list yesterday about that, right? About waiting until, well, it's not really about stopping ourselves, but it was a little bit more about unhesitating, when we're making a decision where we say, I don't want to make the decision until, or I can't do that now because that's a form of stopping yourself. And the person, when we're in those situations, and I mean, I get it. Like, anything I talk to you about is, you can be sure it's something I have done at some point. We say, well, I can't until this happens. I can't until I have more time. I can't until I have more money. I can't until I get the right team person. And what's really interesting is when we're waiting until, we're stopping ourselves. And then what we're waiting until for actually never happens. And then, of course, we never get what we think we want. So my question for you today is, what would it take for you to do it anyways? To just go ahead and do it and not let that be an excuse or a reason. Now, I know it might seem like, hey, wait a minute, I absolutely don't have the resources here to get this done. But the thing is, to really achieve great things, like anyone who's ever achieved really great things in their life has had to stretch, and they've had to leap, and they've had to jump. And they haven't been able to do that because their circumstances were perfect. I mean, look at anybody that you admire or respect, whether it's in your local community or it's a big name celebrity or a big name entrepreneur. Look at where they've stretched and they've had to do things when they didn't feel like it, or didn't have the money, or didn't have the resource, or didn't have the time, or whatever it was, and they did it anyway. They didn't wait till they got their circumstances together. And I know on the outside, because somebody said this to me once, and I thought it was fascinating. That she had said to me that the reason her business was not in the same position mine was because I had different circumstances than her, and that allowed me to pursue my business. And I said, well, that's a really interesting perspective. Thank you. Why do you think that? And she pointed out all the things that were in my life that in her mind were reasons why I could make the choices I did. And so I dug a little deeper with her, and I said to her, well, that's really interesting because, none of these circumstances existed when I made these decisions. These circumstances exist now because I made the decisions, because I didn't allow myself to stop myself in those particular areas. They didn't exist first. If I had waited, I would not have a business either. And she looked a little confused, and I get it. Like, there's fear there, right? Like, when things aren't lining up, like, we want to think, okay, it all has to be perfect. But the truth is, if you just look around you, the people that are waiting for it to be perfect are the ones that stay stuck. The people waiting for it to be perfect are the ones that have okay results. The people waiting for it to be perfect are the ones who are like, I just wish I could, but. And the ones who just leap, and I'm not saying be reckless, but that leap, that don't wait for it to be perfect, that don't stop themselves, that say, I mean, like today, I did not want to wear this, but I got on live anyway, or I didn't want to come too late, but I thought, well, I mean, this is my commitment to be here. I'm going to do it. It's just time to go live, even without a microphone. Or, and that's a small example, right? But again, it gets back to how you do one thing is how you do everything. And so how you approach even the littlest of things, and you find yourself not going forward, look at where that might be translating into something bigger, because the people that are really achieving great things in the world, they're taking risks, they're not playing it safe, and they're not stopping themselves. I mean, I'm sure we're all human, so they're going to stop themselves somewhere, but they've got it to a point where it's not a habit to stop themselves, and they work on not stopping themselves. They don't, because they know that without taking the action, what they need won't show up. Without taking that action, they shut down opportunity. So that's all I want to talk to you about today. I didn't really have that much. I will be honest with you. So this is me not stopping myself because I thought, should I admit it or shouldn't I? But I'll be honest with you. I was so flustered by the time I got to hit go live from trying to like dig through all the AV equipment to try to find a microphone, and I couldn't. And then, pushing the dog aside, I was like, oh, I forgot what I was going to talk about today. And I thought, well, I'm just going to talk about this whole piece about not stopping yourself and just going forward anyway. So this is a very short morning meeting. I will be back on Thursday, and I would also invite you to make sure to check out Living Forward TV. This week we are talking all about how to attract high-paying clients. And so on the morning meeting on Thursday, I'm going to touch into a couple little extras that won't be covered in the video for that week, and I hope to have you there, and I look forward to seeing you then. And thanks for being with me today. I know I blabbered on today, but I just so appreciate you being here anyway. And tell me below where you might have been stopping yourself and what you're going to do differently, and I will come back and engage with you later. Talk to you soon. Bye.